Reflection is a word that holds many meanings for everyone. Some might see it as their image looking back at them in a mirror. Some might say it's taking things into consideration, or even something rising from something else. But for Sylvia Plath, reflection holds a much deeper meaning, and she's expressing it in an interesting poem. Mirror is a poem that really intrigued me, because I felt that it conveyed many themes. When I was reading the poem, it was a bit confusing at first, but I was still interested in it nonetheless. While I continued reading, I found out that it truly conveyed multiple themes, which included self-reflection and growing up. I also noticed that the poet's attitude was different. She's expressing a positive idea, but she's using a somewhat negative attitude to explain it. For me, I felt that Sylvia's purpose was to show us how much self-reflection affects a person, but some experts suggest that the poet's purpose expresses how the mirror sees the world. Before diving into the poem, we must find out when and where the poem was written. Now, the poem was written in 1961, in which Sylvia was living in London with her husband. Sylvia, at that time, was still suffering from depression, and this had affected the way she wrote the mirror. It also changed the way she was conveying the theme of the poem. I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately, just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful, the eye of a little god four-cornered. Most of the time I meditate on the opposite wall. It is pink with speckles. I have looked at it so long I think it is part of my heart, but it flickers. Faces and darkness separate us over and over. Now I'm a lake. A woman bent over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. I see her back and reflected faithfully. She rewards me with tears and agitation of hands. I am important to her. She comes and goes. Each morning it is her face that replaces the darkness. In me she has drowned a young girl, and in me an old woman rises towards her day after day, like a terrible fish. The structure of the poem was very interesting. Sylvia included separate stanzas in her poem. The poem was written in free verse, which means that the poet did not restrict herself to a rhyme scheme. The lack of rhyming contributed to the meaning of the poem because it allowed the poet to fully express her thoughts and to free herself from any limitations. It also contributed to the choice of figurative language. Sylvia's word choices were exceptional in this poem. Here are a few examples. Meditate, searching, looked, comes, goes. These words share similar meanings because they all are related to watching something or searching for someone. The word choices also further support the poet's theme of self-reflection because they in a way hint about finding yourself. One of the other things I noticed was that the mood of this poem was dark and remorseful, which further supports the theme and the poet's word choices. Of course, we must look into the poet's choices of figurative language. Sylvia did a very good job of supporting the overall meaning of the poem. She did not include any similes, but the entire poem was an extended metaphor, which is that the poet was comparing the mirror to your inner self. The poet also used symbolism, where she used the mirror as a symbol of one's inner self and how they feel about the things they see. In conclusion, the meaning of the poem is to show us that self-reflection affects a person greatly. And I think she wrote the poem because she was dealing with depression and how she was lost and couldn't find her true self. My opinion about the poem remains unchanged. And even though I was able to extract the meaning of it, I still feel like there is a much deeper meaning behind it. I really recommend this poem to everyone because I feel like it relates to us all. Everyone has gone through the phase where you're finding yourself, but some might not like it because of how it is dark. The poem can be used as an advice to future generations because the way to find yourself is to reflect on your opinions and choices. The poem also can be an inspiration because the poet amazingly related something so simple, such as the mirror, to something so important to everyone, which is self-reflection.